Hey,
Hi,
I'm so
Terri.
excited. You're here.
So am I. Thank you so much for having me, Terri.
Oh, I'm just so excited. And viewers, welcome to the first episode of Author Highlight. And I'm honored to have as my first guest my very dear friend Cathy Gohlke. And Cathy is a best-selling four-time Christy, Carol, and Inspy award-winning author of 9 critically acclaimed novels. And she has also got a best-selling moniker in there as well. She and her husband of 38 years, Dan, the adventurer, I like to call, divide their time between Northern Virginia and the Jersey Shore, where they share time with their grown children, Daniel, Elizabeth, and Tim Gardner, and 3 precious grandchildren. Cathy has worked as a librarian, a drama director for adults and young people, and as a director of children's and education ministry. Her dreams of detective work and spying and driving an ice cream truck and archaeological digs are now accomplished through writing research. She speaks and offers in person and virtual book club visits, but has yet to drive an ice cream truck. Cathy, so much. I appreciate you being here so much.
I'm
Um,
excited. Thank you. Thanks for
and
having me.
I mean, essentially, she's my guinea pig because, because we haven't done this before. So, um, say hello to.
Hi, I'm so glad to meet you all. I know that if you're tuning in to hear Terri, you're in for a treat. And this is a treat for me to be here with you. Thank you, Terri.
You're so welcome. And I did want to mention Cathy has a redesigned website. Can you tell them a little bit about that?
I just love it. Jones House Creative designed my new website. It's absolutely beautiful. I hope you'll stop by. All you have to do is Google my name, Cathy Gohlke, and you can find me at cathygohlke.com or authorcathygohlke.com. It will show up either way. And it has all kinds of things you'd expect on a website, a blog, a newsletter. But it also has some interesting things like a book club kit for the first time for Nightbird Calling, which is more than the book discussion questions. If you go to my bonus features page, you'll see all kinds of things: recipes, offerings for book clubs, videos, interviews, a whole section for writers, just all kinds of things. And if you stop by and sign up for my newsletter, automatically you'll receive a copy of a short story called Into the Starry Night. Now, Into the Starry Night was one of the short stories I wrote many years ago that led to Nightbird Calling. So the characters in that story are a little bit younger, and but you'll meet young Celia, who Terri has equated, or not equated, but said that Scout and To Kill a Mockingbird, that Celia would give her a run for the money. And actually, I just think they would be great friends. I
That's
think they would
true.
see eye to eye on a lot of things. So I hope you'll stop by. I'd love to meet you there.
Yeah, I have to say it is a beautiful website and your designer did a great job.
He did.
Um, now, Cathy's link showed up just a few seconds ago, but just to let you know, it's also in the description section and it's going to be jammed packed with some really good information. Um, Next, if you haven't received the notice yet that the blog has posted, the January author highlight blog has posted. Cathy, of course, is the feature author there. And be sure and check out the blog because if you want to win a free copy of her book, you want to do a little product display because mine's fake. So
Oh, okay. This is a hardback copy of the book that Terry's giving away. And in fact, I'm so excited, Terry, to be your first interview on the Zoom meeting that I would like to give away 3 copies of this,
what?
3 signed copies to winners that you draw.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, everybody, that is amazing. So that means you have an even better chance, and there's going to be even more ways that you can have additional entries to be able to win one of those books. And it's not a paperback, and there's nothing wrong with paperback books, but show them yeah, show them the cover, see, it's just beautiful. So you actually get a hardback, she'll autograph it and sign it to you, which is so cool. So I love this book. I had the blessed opportunity to be able to read, I think it was a second or third draft of the book.
I don't remember now, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, but I knew that once Tyndale's editors, it was just going to be beautiful, even more beautiful. So
They're so good at telling me what I need to cut. They're so good at that. And they really make it shine.
Yeah, they do. They really know your voice, and they can help you enhance your voice even more, which is the sign of a very great editor. So what I thought it would be a treat to have Cathy read a little from her book. So Cathy, would you do that?
Sure, I'll read parts of chapter 1. Chapter 1, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, May 1941. My mother was a beautiful woman, a magnificent and generous woman who loved music and poetry and literature and gardens. She loved to dance, though she only ever did so in the privacy of her room with me. Her smile, though rare in her last months, brightened the sun. She was a devoted wife and loving mother, however ill-used by her husband. If anyone says differently, they're a liar or misled by my father. Mama loved lilacs and roses and the call of the whippoorwill to keep her company in the dead of night, a memory she treasured from her childhood. She once told me that God in his heaven must think we mortals cannot sustain the wonder of such heady fragrance for long. That's why lilacs bloom only in spring and for so short a time. It's the reason roses must have 2 seasons to spread their blessed gifts. It's why whippoorwills don't sing all year long in the North Carolina mountain air. The fragrance of those flowers filled her room as she squeezed my hand for the last time and closed her eyes. I didn't want her to go, and yet begging her to stay would have been selfish. At long last, she had a chance to be free. Of course she should take it. Mama left me with 2 directives. 1, to take care of myself, no matter the cost to my reputation. 2, when I found myself brave enough, I was to hand deliver a ruby ring to her Aunt Hyacinth in No Creek, North Carolina, a ruby ring that Mama said she'd taken when she ran off to marry my father. She didn't explain why she'd taken the ring or what she meant by taking care of myself, heedless of my reputation, but she made me swear to do both and to never tell my father or my husband. I swore, for she was dying, though I had no idea how I'd ever fulfill such vows. Gerald no more let me out of his sight than my father had allowed my mother from his. I'd sewn the ring and Grand Aunt Hyacinth's address into the lining of my purse, so I'd have them with me always and out of my husband's sight. Gerald was known to rifle through my closet and chest of drawers in search of my diary or some stray clue to my faithlessness, suspicious of my every move as he was. I never gave him cause, but his constant surveillance and recriminations made me feel as if I'd done something soiled and dirty, and that made me jumpy. How soiled and dirty can a woman get going to the market or the library or to church? It was much the way Mama had lived and I'd been raised, only I truly believed that marriage to Gerald, a man 10 years my senior, who seemed so godly and smitten with me, might be different. He might love me, might be glad to share a new life. 7 years had taught me otherwise. And so I go on to talk about how life was for Liliana with her husband. And Liliana is now at the church, and it's after the funeral luncheon. Everyone has left, except for the elders who are having a meeting in the upstairs room. And she just is so exhausted and so needing a little space. So she thought, the thought of going home with Gerald after this horrendous day made my stomach swell into my throat. There'd be no end of ridicule about the tears I choked back during the service. I could hear him now. We're not to sorrow as others who have no hope. Your lack of faith and self-control sets a poor example. The wife of an elder should mark a standard, behave above reproach. Well, she knew the elders' meeting could go on a long time, and just for a moment, she wanted to be quiet and alone. So she goes upstairs to the sanctuary of the church. She says, I lay down on the pew, closed my eyes, and pulled my feet into a fetal curl, just for a moment. And then the scene changes. The steady drone of voices coming from the back of the church woke me, that and the light that poured from the vestibule into the darkened sanctuary. I squinted, was about to sit up when I recognized the two voices. I lay back down in the shadows. God's been merciful to free you, Brother Shepherd. Gerald's smirk came through loud and clear. Marriage is for life. I endured till death parted us. Was that a smile in my father's voice? And now it's done. Yes, Father sighed, now it's done and life goes on. Cleanly, I suppose. You're lucky, blessed. And your debts? Gerald asked. You'll inherit Rosemary's property. Apparently not, at least not what I'd imagined and she led me to believe. I heard my father's exasperation. It was not in Rosemary's name, as we both supposed. You're sure? I spoke with her aunt, though I'll have someone investigate to make certain. Well, now that is a disappointment. It would have been a nice reward paid those embarrassing debts. You needn't concern yourself. There are other means. Still, based on what I saw as a member of the family, I can't help but wonder if more than God helped Rosemary's end along. That's scandalous. Don't repeat it. I wouldn't want to, of course. My husband hesitated, but I might need incentive. There was a long moment of silence while his words sank in. What do you want, Gerald? I don't need money, nothing so coarse. Gerald waited another long moment. The thing is, your daughter's not stable. I believe you'll agree. Liliana's emotional, like her mother. An emotionally unstable young woman, in my estimation. She's also physically healthy and liable to live a long while. As I said, marriage is for life. The elders would never agree to divorce if that's what you're getting at. Yes, marriage is for life, unless it's not. My husband's measured words sent chills up my spine. The church permits one cause for divorce. You have no case. Not adultery, but instability leading to insanity is cause for divorce by Pennsylvania law, not by the laws of God or the church. Not unless the insanity might lead to adultery or justifiably strong suspicion of adultery. You're reaching. I need witnesses. It would be best to have her institutionalized, avoid scandal, and guarantee me appropriate sympathy, the kind of sympathy I saw exhibited for you today. You'll never find witnesses to such a lie. Liliana is well thought of, well liked, and she's already gone to the police about your heavy hand. No one would believe it. That was unfortunate and might be a stumbling block unless Someone else brings the allegation of her instability and the suspicion of promiscuity. Someone who's known her a long time, someone respected in the community who can testify in court and intimate the possibility of more than indiscreet behavior. I heard the pew creak as my father sank into it. She's my daughter. You can't be serious. Nevermore. I have friends in high places who are willing to be influenced for you or against. This is blackmail. You can't force me. You can't prove anything. I may have been firm with Rosemary. She tried my patience, but I didn't kill her. Reputations are easier to ruin than incarcerations are to achieve, I grant. You value your eldership, your standing in the church and in the community. I imagine you're counting on both in plotting your future. I've noticed your roving eye. So the story goes on, and we realize that there is blackmail afoot, and Liliana has a very hard road ahead. She knows she can't go home. And later, after they leave, she lay in the hard pew a long time, fearing to get up and find a way home, and fearing not to. When at last I walked out of the church and into the empty parking lot, I stood beneath a street lamp, barely shielded by shrubbery. I counted the money in my purse, $1.58 left over from the purchase of groceries, $80 given into my keeping that day by a well-to-do parishioner as a donation toward my mother's funeral, which I was instructed to give to my father. I'd not been entrusted with so much money in my life, not in my father's house, and certainly not in my husband's. It was pitch black beyond the street lamp, a mile and a half to Gerald and home, but I dared not go home. There was no way to pretend I hadn't heard. One look at my face and Gerald would know that I discovered his plans, what he might do. I could imagine. I couldn't take sanctuary in my father's house or in the house of any one of the church members. It wouldn't be fair to draw anyone else into the mess of my marriage, the stink of my dirty laundry. And whom dared I trust? Who wouldn't be afraid of the disapproval or discipline of the church elders or even of their own husbands? When I'd run to my father for help 4 months after I'd married, he'd shaken his head and expressed disappointment in me. Perfect love casts out fear, Liliana. Your fear of Gerald proves that you lack love for him, and worse, for God. God is love, and without love, without forgiveness in your heart, you cannot hope your Father in heaven will forgive you. The time Gerald had beaten me black and blue and I'd run to the police, they'd told me, all men knock their wives around a little from time to time. Don't worry, go home. He'll settle down. My husband had threatened to kill me if I ever told another soul about his outbursts. Kill me and then himself. No, I couldn't go home. In the opposite direction lay the center of the city and the Philadelphia train station. $80. I wondered how far it could send me. There was only one person other than Sarah whom my mother had trusted with the secret shame of her marriage. The year I was 5 and we ran away together. I fingered the lining of my purse and the shape of Grandaunt Hyacinth's ruby ring, a sort of secret friend, a talisman of comfort. Thinking of it so had seemed silly and perhaps childish at the time of my mother's divorce, as if I'd ever have an opportunity to deliver it. Now it was a lifeline, I hoped.
Mm.
The end of chapter 1. So we know there's a bit of a story there.
Wow.
And it's to No Creek, North Carolina, that Liliana flees to her Grandaunt Hyacinth. And there she finds a whole community of people, interesting characters, some wonderful and accepting, some cruel and uninviting.
Mm-hmm.
And the story just takes off from there.
Yes, it's just beautiful, and you can hear just in a few pages how wonderfully written it is, and how heartbreaking, and yet with all of your books, there's always that sense of hope that God will intervene. So, yes, everybody. Incredible. Um, Thank you, my friend, for reading that.
My pleasure. Thank
Um,
you for giving me an opportunity to share it with your listeners, Terri.
oh, you're so welcome. The author highlight blog, which is live today, the interview has a lot of really great information about you and about the story and the story behind the story. But for this interview, I thought we could have a little bit of fun. So, one of the questions I posed was, what is something we don't know about Cathy Gohlke? How about
Oh,
sharing that with?
oh my goodness, confession time nationally. Oh boy. Well, this is what I told Terri. I haven't told everybody, but I'll tell all of you. In 1982, my husband and I were married, and we delayed our honeymoon a little bit and went to Israel. And it was wonderful. It was the most wonderful trip. He had been before on a tour, and so he sort of redid that tour for the two of us, and it was absolutely incredible. But one of the things he was quite determined to do that I think he had not been able to do when he was there before was he wanted to go to a cemetery in Jerusalem and find a certain tomb. So we went, only the day had been getting away from us, and it was late in the afternoon when we went. And there was a sign. We couldn't read everything on the sign, but it had a time on it, and it looked to me like it wouldn't be long before that cemetery closed. And he's like, no, it'll be fine, we're just going to go in and it won't take us long. Well, it did take us a long time to find this tomb, and then to sit there and soak it in a little bit and talk. And so it was getting to be dusk, and I was getting a little nervous about this closing of the cemetery when we finally got to the gate, and it was locked, and there wasn't anybody there. And we called and nobody there. And there were security cameras all over. This was 1982 and things were very tense in the Middle
Yeah.
East. And security was at an all-time high. And I mean, I guess it's better to be locked in a cemetery than to be trying to get into the cemetery. But we had to get out, and nobody came. So we decided, well, my husband said, well, we just got to climb the fence. So he climbs the fence, gets over. It's not so easy for me. I had a dress on, and I did climb the fence. I did get over. I did tear my dress, but we did not get arrested. We lived to tell the tale, and I'm sure the security cameras had a good laugh at us, or the people behind the security cameras. So we made it out.
Yeah,
And
I could just see them watching that, pulling every, hey, look and see what these crazy Americans are
I'm
doing.
sure it was clear we were American. Who else? But the other end of that story is that I still have been following this same man for 38 years on all kinds of adventures, and they're still adventurous, but I wouldn't trade him for anything in the world.
Yeah, I've been on a few adventures with you too. They were adventures. Oh, well, thank you for sharing that. I know I visited that graveyard as well, and I put stones on top of Golden Mayer's tombstone, and she's one of my heroes. And yeah, so very cool. Um, so let's talk about this giveaway, which I'm really excited now because we have 3 books that we have to give away. Now, in the past, if you made a comment and liked the blog, your name was entered into the giveaway. But now that we have the video interview as well, I've decided to encourage people to share, like, and comment on this video, and you get an extra entry into the giveaway. And then if you subscribe to this YouTube channel, you'll get 2 extra entries. So that means that if you leave a comment on the blog, leave a comment and like and share on this video, and you subscribe, you could have a better chance, because you'll have 4 entries, and an even better chance because there are 3 books that'll be given away. So let your friends know, because now you don't have to be greedy and say, well, I want that one book. Now you can share the good wealth. So the drawing will take place on January 15th. And just so you know, it's a real technical process. I write down all the names, I put them in a basket, and my husband draws them. So that's our technical process. So excited, very excited. Thank you again. Your generosity, yes. Before we leave, do you have any last words you'd like to share with our viewers?
Yes, I'd like to say that the beginning of the book, the setup for the story, is quite serious and rather emotional, but there is a lot of humor, and there is a lot of redemption as the story goes on. And Liliana really does come to learn what it means to be loved by God and accepted in her community, but it is a perilous journey. The other thing I would like to say is that if you have been abused or are in an abusive situation, you do not need to be there alone. I'd like to give the number, Terri, for the domestic violence hotline. If anyone needs to reach out. The National Domestic Violence Hotline number is there to help. Someone will talk with you and help you there. That number is 1-800-799-7233. 1-800-799-7233. And if you know someone, a friend, a family member, a colleague, someone at church, anyone that you perceive, who you perceive has been intimidated or oppressed, truly reach out to them. Don't let their fearfulness keep you from reaching out to them. Let them know that you care, that you're there to listen, to help. But most of all, let them know that God loves them, that abuse and oppression does not come from God.
Yes.
And that, I mean, honestly, he loved us so much, he sent his only son to die and be resurrected and give us the hope of eternal life and the opportunity for that. Amen. So he is totally there for us. And that's the thing I hope readers will take away and share in their community.
Thank you. You saw the 800 number posted, but also I will also have it in the description section. So this is abuse, unfortunately, is not getting better.
And during the months of the pandemic, domestic violence has escalated, and it is a great concern. It is a great concern. So we want to reach as many women and men and children. I mean, it's not confined to any one gender or age group.
Yeah, and elderly as well. Elderly. Yeah, it's a very real thing. And you know, the Holy Spirit has given us discernment. And if you start getting a check in your spirit when you see someone that something just doesn't seem right, really pray about that. And then if you get the go ahead from the Lord, reach out to them. That's a good word, Cathy. Just a very good word. Well, thanks for watching the first episode of Author Highlights with Terri. Just reminder, as I just said, in the description section will be all sorts of wonderful links to Cathy's website and where you can buy her books. And before you and I began speaking, my friend Vicky Cram and I were chatting. She said, "Well, I already ordered my book. I can't wait for it to come." So, Vicky is a childhood friend. She's just a sweetie. Also, shameless plug, I also appreciate likes, follows, and subscribes. So, subscribe when you subscribe to the YouTube channel and that little dingy bell comes up. Be sure and click that too, because it will let you know any new episodes that are released. And then just a shout out for next month's author highlight. I will be featuring award-winning author Kim Williams, who, by the way, loves Cathy. And she has also said she's already ordered Nightbird Calling. So thanks again. God bless. Keep reading. Bye.